Cooking, it's easy, isn't it? Okay, maybe not. After all, there's so many things to do, like cutting or chopping or slicing. But by following a few simple steps, we can make delicious meals in no time. And that is how you do it. Cooking takes a bit of practice, but we can simplify the process. Let's go over a few simple steps to help plan your next meal. But before we begin, it's important to address why we're cooking in the first place. Many of us have specific goals, such as losing weight, improving our health, gaining muscle, or even enhancing our athletic performance. Cooking healthy, delicious meals is a vital component for reaching these goals. So it's important to keep a few things in mind. Meals should fit within your target calorie goal. Your meals should have appropriate quantities of protein, carbohydrates, and fat based on your goals and food preferences. And lastly, your meal should taste good and be enjoyable to eat. The first step is to identify a rotation of your favorite healthy recipes, about 3 to 5. These will be your staple dishes you can make in a pinch, especially when you're hard-pressed for time. When deciding on your recipes, do yourself a favor and choose recipes that include healthy, convenient, and familiar foods that you and your family really enjoy. Most recipes include, at minimum, a protein source, a carbohydrate, oils or butters, some vegetables, and spices. Fruits and legumes like lentils and beans are also options. Now, let's begin by talking about protein. There are a few common protein sources that can be your staple in your kitchen. Like poultry, that's like chicken or turkey. Fish and other types of seafood. You have beef and pork and tofu, eggs, and dairy such as milk, cheese, and yogurt. Beans, peas, nuts, and seeds are also valuable sources of protein, especially if you're a vegan or vegetarian. A typical serving portion size of protein is about the size of the palm of your hand. In addition to protein, your recipe should include healthy carbohydrate options. There's a wide variety of carbohydrate foods to choose from. Some examples include brown rice, whole wheat pasta or bread, potatoes and sweet potatoes, squash, and quinoa. A typical one-serving portion size of carbs is about the size of a cupped hand. Your recipe should also include some vegetables. Vegetables are an excellent source of vitamins, minerals, fiber, and complex carbohydrates. Some vegetables that can become staples in your kitchen include celery, carrots, onions, broccoli, peas, asparagus, spinach, tomatoes, cucumbers, and bell peppers. One serving portion size of a vegetable is about the size of a closed fist. Your recipes may call for some fat like oils or butters. Oils such as olive oil or canola oil are excellent sources of unsaturated fat. These oils work best when using medium-high heat. However, if your recipe calls for high heat, corn, soybean, or sesame oils are a better option. These oils have higher smoke points. This means the oils won't begin to break down and smoke at those higher temperatures. One serving portion size of fats is about the size of your thumb. Lastly, your chosen recipe may include some spice. Choose spices that are familiar to you and your palate. Some examples may include black pepper, salt, ginger, oregano, basil, cumin, garlic, nutmeg, parsley, or thyme. Use as much spice as you prefer to enhance the flavors of your foods. However, if you have or suspect any sort of heart disease, it's a good idea to limit your salt intake. Once you've identified your staple recipes, purchase the ingredients needed for the recipes and keep them stocked in your kitchen. Now that you have all your ingredients, you're ready to get started. This is one of my favorite staple recipes, bronze chicken breast with sweet potato and shiitake mushroom hash and steamed broccoli, and I love to cook it. So let's get cooking. All right, so cool. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start to maze out our ingredients, and I think the best thing that you should start with is the onion because it does tend to make the most trouble for most people. I like to cut it in half, that way it's a stable surface. We're only gonna use about a half an onion so you can set that out of the way. Start with the root end and just slice it off, pull your pieces over. Try to set a bowl off to the side so you can put your trash into it. It kind of keeps your area clean. And then you want to peel the first 2 layers, sometimes 3, of the onion back. And get all that apart. You paid for the whole onion, you might as well use it all. And then we're gonna do a little bit of a julienne. You find the root side, that's the root. And then you just walk your knife down it. And then once you've made all your cuts, like basically like matchsticks, you just walk your knife right down the side of it, and you'll get a bunch of cubes of onion. Easy peasy. Now if you don't want to hold on to that last part, just lay it on its side and chop it. Scrape your knife. And I always like to have a mise plate off to the side to where mise en place is everything in its place. So you can just pick up your cutting board and scrape it off onto the plate. And then you don't make much of a mess. And if your cutting board's giving you trouble, just put a little napkin down underneath it and it won't even rock anymore. All right, so the way you cut a pepper is you start with the top. Top and tails is what some people call it. And you just slice that off. You can set that off to the side and dice it up later. You put your knife on the side of the pepper, walk it through the inside, and just roll it. You want to take the membrane out. That can be bitter, no seeds. Set that off to the side. Again, we're just going to use half, so we'll just set that off to the side. Rock your knife right through the middle, knocking out a little matchstick. Notice the theme here. Once you get all your sticks together, make a nice little cabin, if you will. That's what I tell my kids. And then hold it together with your fingers. And just let the knife do the work. Get yourself a pile. You should be able to hold it. Set that next to your onion. You're all set. Now it's time to do something a little bit more sturdy, which is the sweet potato. So we're gonna peel it. Y peelers are great. They do a great job. They make short work of hefty skin. Sweet potatoes, technically, their skin's not that thick. Doesn't take much. Gets right down to the membrane. You want a deep color. Try to avoid the lightness. You can see the skin where it's a little white. You just kind of peel it off a little bit more. Put your peels in your bowl off to the side. We're just gonna rock a little bit of this. It's the same thing. Try to find an edge that doesn't move. If it gets wobbly, always put your knife on the tip of the cutting board and let it stay steady. That way you don't put the knife into your fingers. That always ends poorly. Stack of cards. And if they come apart on you, take a second and stack them because it's going to help you later. Super easy. Move your peeler. Same premise. Rock it into some sticks. Just cut them in a little dice. This is going to be the potato for our sweet potato hash and shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are already cleaned and sliced. Nice. I try to cut all my vegetables first, get it out of the way. You can clean the cutting board, but then especially since I'm going to go to chicken. Now the broccoli has been washed. It's being held together. I need to remove the rubber band. And I'm just going to pop the stem off it a little bit. We're gonna use florets for this recipe. You can save these and peel them for later and steam them. They work really nice. And we'll get it ready for the chicken. So the secret to chicken is if you don't have a lot of time, which who does, make the chicken pieces thin so you can cook them all at once. You don't have to worry about baking it. Get your chicken breast. Now, all you want to do is walk your knife right through the top. Hold it flat down. You want a good, clean, sharp knife. And just get yourself a thin piece of chicken. Lay it on top of your other cuts. Very nice. You can probably get, out of a thick breast, you can get at least 3 good fillets. Walk it right down the side. All right, this is one of my favorite and easiest dishes you can make in a kitchen. The reason why I like it so much is it's really tasty and really fast, and there's a secret to it. We're all gonna make this in just one pot, and I know that makes a lot of people happy because who likes doing dishes? The first secret is to start with a hot pot. I put a blend of canola oil and olive oil into the pot and get that going. This is a non-stick wok, highly recommended with a lid. That's like the one thing that I think every kitchen needs. When you want to season your food, you have to do it for your liking, right? So this is a barbecue like bronze blend that I make. It's just paprika, salt, cumin, the salt I use is a pink Himalayan, which I think is kind of the way to go. Make sure you get it on both sides of the chicken. I add a little bit of brown sugar, oregano, and some Italian seasoning, like a fast acronym for that would be STORM. That'd be sweet basil, thyme, oregano, rosemary, and marjoram. STORM, that's all you need to know for your Italian seasoning. We've got the fillets that we made earlier for the chicken. Just rub that spice in there so it doesn't fall off. Now the oil in these woks gets hot very quickly. When you drop your chicken into the pan, that's what you want to hear. Shake it a little bit. You don't want it to stick, and it's not gonna cook very quickly. That's kind of my favorite thing about this, is that you can push it up on the sides. Now that seasoning is going to blend into your oil. It's gonna give the oil some flavor. As you can hear that sizzling, that's the most important part. Now, once the oil cascades to the side, your chicken's probably halfway done at this point. I start to add my sweet potatoes. Now the sweet potatoes are gonna take a minute, but I want them to saute a little bit inside with this chicken. And we'll give them a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna pull out the chicken, set it to the side. Now, you always, look at that, those look great. You can see the color on them looks really nice. You're gonna coat all of your sweet potatoes with the oil, tiny bit of the seasoning on top. Now I'd like to add my onions. I'm gonna add the yellow peppers last because they'll cook the quickest. Just a little sprinkle of that. Now the lid comes in really good right here because you want to cover it and kind of steam them. Just let it sit for a few minutes. While it does that, you can start to break up your shiitakes. Now this is like a hash, so you're gonna cook this sweet potato for maybe 3 to 4 minutes inside this wok. You're gonna have them steam. They're gonna start to get a little al dente like a pasta. And then when you remove the lid, you start to break it up. You can see the sides of the sweet potatoes are looking really, really fresh. They're starting to get soft. I'm just hand tearing this because I don't want everybody to be worried about what it looks like or what it's supposed to be. All I want you to do is enjoy the process of cooking. It's gonna be, I mean, it's supposed to be fun, right? One of the best things about being human is that you can make some amazing dishes. Just break this up. If you get a non-stick pot, I highly recommend you gotta get the rubber utensils. That way it doesn't scrape the Teflon off in your pot. And it all cooks pretty quickly, and you can hear it, it's still sizzling. I'm gonna lid it and let it work. Now the chicken's not doing anything to anybody over here, but just, we're gonna put it back in and let it sit. The broccoli looks good. We're probably gonna put 4 or 5 heads of that in the side. Now I'm just setting this in the wok. It's gonna do like a little bit of a steam action. I'm gonna add some organic chicken stock. And we'll put the chicken back in. I'm gonna add the juice from the chicken. Well, that's all flavor right there. And then lid it. This can cook for about 4 minutes just like this. And get yourself ready for a nice plate up. What you're gonna look for is like the bubble and the steam inside. When you lift your lid, you should see your bubbles on the side of the water. It should be really hot. Don't worry about burning it, just don't forget about it. I want the brightness of the broccoli, I don't want to overcook it. The one thing you want to hear for is the sizzle, because the woks are fast to evaporate the water. There we go. Set this off to the side. Beautiful. All right. You know what? Everything's right there. I mean, you can just see how fresh it looks, how easy it is. Look at that. The broccoli is not overcooked. You know, growing up as a kid, my mom used to always We used to do a lot of frozen vegetables, which can be good for convenience sake, but they don't have that bite that I'm always looking for. Now, this is a great calorie intake, right? Everybody that's managing their calories. Sweet potatoes, shiitake mushrooms, get some of that broth. Pour over the chicken in the dish. Oof, man, I tell you what, I can't wait to eat this. And that is how you do it.